Has this ever happened to you? You set a new goal to pick up a new habit or drop an old one, and only when the time comes, nothing. It's like the willpower you need to get things done goes on a holiday exactly when you need it the most. You tell yourself you're going to go to the gym from tomorrow, only when the time comes you see yourself sinking in the sofa. You tell yourself you're going to start meditating because you've learned a lot of benefits around longevity, and you keep putting it off. You also tell yourself, hey, I'm going to be calmer next time, especially when I'm having a difficult conversation with someone else. And you see yourself, your old reactions start to creep back in. And at work, you keep putting off the same project or writing the report that's overdue because emails and distractions keep piling up. And what about this one? You invest in yourself by attending a professional development, and you learn some nifty tools and frameworks, and you challenge that you're going to optimize your leadership. And over the next few weeks, things start to creep back the way they always were. We waste a lot of time, months and sometimes years, in keeping these goals in our mind without really acting. We rehearse, we plan, we tell ourselves from tomorrow we're going to do it, only for it never to get started. So this is the question which is really interesting for us to ponder. We have the awareness, we have the motivation, and we even have a goal. So what else is missing here? So let's talk about why does the brain struggle in this context? Why do we come in the way of our own goals? One of the reasons is that the brain requires a lot of energy to operate. Around 20 to 25% of your overall energy that's available to you is used just by the brain. And in evolutionary context, the brain wants to conserve this, because the more you use than you bring in, you're dying. And in order to survive, the brain wants to conserve this energy. And it does so by having shortcuts, working on shortcuts, routines and habits, and automating some behaviors. So essentially, when we are setting new goals and when the time comes to achieve those shortcuts, they do not exist yet. And in those moments, the brain reaches out to the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that helps us make decisions, coordinate ourselves, control our impulses, and make choices. It's like one of those good friends we've got that's really helpful. However, they easily get tired. For example, when the time comes and you have to act on your goal of, for example, going to the gym, and the shortcut does not exist, your prefrontal cortex, it now engages in deliberation to itself. Should I go to gym now or maybe later? Do I have clothes ready? What if I check my emails first? What about if I attend tomorrow morning session? And as our brain is deliberating this internal committee of our prefrontal cortex, then the sofa wins because the shortcut exists. And as a result, we end up being where we were to begin with. So the goal intentions, they do not take us too far. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, as they say. So this is where a newer strategy becomes more important, and that's called the implementation intentions. Now, the implementation intentions are essentially if and then plans. They are different to goal intentions. Goal intentions are about, I'm going to achieve X tomorrow, or I'm going to achieve Y tomorrow. And implementation intentions are all about having intentions to implement your goal by linking a situation in the future with a goal-directed response or a behavior. So for example, when it is 7 in the morning and I wake up, I will do 30 seconds of meditation. Or when it's 6 o'clock in the evening, on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, then I'll put up my shoes and go for a run around the block. Or when I get anxious before a presentation, then I will look up at the ceiling and take 3 deep breaths. Or when I get distracted in a meeting, then I will think of what's important now. These implementation intentions can be used in a range of different contexts. Can be used for managing our emotions, for managing ourselves, and in how we operate in the workplace, in embedding new learning. They can be used for quitting some habits, for example, quitting smoking or reducing alcohol intake. Now, at Corporate Sherpas, we use implementation intentions in supporting our clients and partners in embedding the new frameworks built in behavioral science in how they operate in the workplace. Essentially, what's happening here when we make implementation intentions, we're creating a shortcut where the shortcut does not exist yet. So when the time comes, instead of relying on the prefrontal cortex battery, we surpass that and we go straight to the rule that we made when we made the implementation intention. That when this comes, then we will think or do this. So we are not relying or executing on willpower. A landmark meta-review of around 94 studies, which was done on 8,000 subjects. So imagine a big review of already existing studies done on implementation intentions, found that people who use implementation intentions are 2 or 3 times more likely to achieve their goals as compared to those who only have goal intentions. So in other words, when people have goal intentions, their chances of achieving their goals is around 30 to 35%. However, when people add an implementation intention to that, their likelihood of achieving the same goal goes all the way to 65 to 70% and even more. Now, at times we may see that people are not aware of these strategies, or when they are, we may not take them seriously because they sound too good to be true. So when we talk about implementation intentions, we are not talking about something motivational or positive thinking. Essentially, it is one of the most evidence-based ways to mitigate the gap that exists between our intentions and our actions. At the end of the day, we are just human beings trying to do our best. And strategies like these allow us to do things a little bit better and a little bit easier. So think about some of the goals that you've been struggling to implement. And think about, now you know about implementation intentions, about what they are, how to make them, and the value of them. How you're going to now make those implementation if and then plans to experiment achieving those goals.